That is generally such a stupid idea. Hello, my name is Paul. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry for that horrific intro. If you can't tell by that awful, awful intro, I'm watching my first silent movie today and I'm really excited, but there are many things that I have watched on my channel. I have watched very weird, very strange horror movies. I've watched movies from various countries, but one thing that I've just never watched is silent movies, not just on my channel. I've never actually sat down to watch a silent movie, and I don't like that, and I feel like today it's time we change that, because how can I, no, that's not on. I need to, and this entire channel is about me culturing myself and learning new things, and today's going to be one of those days, and I'm excited, I'm a little bit nervous, and I don't really know what to expect, I guess. So why have I never watched any silent movies before? Well, if I'm being honest, I'm just stupid, because I feel like sitting in silence on my own for 80 or 90 minutes is just going to be very difficult for me, because I'm so used to listening to things and having noises coming from, and just being stimulated in that way, and just sitting in silence and having to listen to nothing. I just feel like it's going to be difficult, and I don't like that I have that attitude, and today I want to change it, because I bet you these movies are incredible and I'm just being ignorant and I'm not watching them because I'm stupid. I have so many silent movies on my watch list, but I never watch them, and so many incredible movies that they just sound so good. Here's a few of them. Here's a few movies that are on my watch list that I need to watch, that are silent, that I'm just not watching for some reason. So here. So what movie am I watching today? I'm going to be watching Sherlock Jr. by Buster Keaton. That came out in 1924. I had to double check because I feel like I was wrong. And the reason I've picked this movie is because I went onto Letterboxd. I went onto their top 100 silent movies of all time, and I had a look through the top 5 and picked one. Out of the top 5, this is the shortest one, but I feel like this is the right way for me to introduce myself into silent movies, because if I watch something that's 90 minutes long and it's entirely silent, I'm just being entirely honest, I'm going to find it so difficult, and I do not want that. I want to enjoy myself, and I feel like this Sherlock Jr., I know nothing about this, but I feel like it's going to be fun. It's going to be quite funny. It's going to be a mystery, everything that I enjoy, and it's 45 minutes long, so I feel like it's a perfect entry into silent movies. So I do not know what to expect. I feel like this will be very fast paced. I feel like it will be funny. What else? I don't know. Maybe very over exaggerated body movements. I feel like the story might be a little bit difficult to follow because it's something I'm not really familiar with. But that's it. I don't really have any expectations. I wanted to know nothing about this movie. I just wanted to jump into it and watch my first silent movie and share it here with you. Usually whenever I'm reading, I'm obviously reading in silence, but I notice every little sound around me, and it really annoys me because it really puts me off my book usually. So I really hope this is not going to put me off the movie if I'm watching something in silence when I hear some noise outside or my neighbor doing something, and I hope that's not the case. I think that's everything I have to say. Let's go watch Sherlock Jr. by Buster Keaton from 1924, which is insane. It's almost 100 years old. What the... Right, let's go. Oh, okay. It is too cold. I have to put my hood on. I'm sorry that this looks horrific, but the hood needs to go on. I'm way too cold. That was super enjoyable. And I forgot to show you, I have a Christmas tree up now. Can you see my Christmas tree? Will it focus? Christmas tree? Yeah, you can kind of see my Christmas tree. Hello. I have just watched Sherlock Jr. and that was... What the fuck? That was so good. Every thought... Oh my god, I look so bald. Every thought I've had about silent movies was so ignorant and so stupid, because that was so good. I was going to watch it on Amazon Prime, and then I noticed that there's ads there, and I checked and it's on YouTube. All this time I could have just been... Oh my god. Right, let's talk about this movie. What is Sherlock Jr. about? A film projectionist longs to be a detective and puts his skills to work when he is framed by a rival for stealing his girlfriend's father's pocket watch. That's a big mouthful of stories. Basically, it is just a cat and mouse tale about Buster Keaton chasing another guy, because Buster Keaton is a detective in reality, because he's training to be a detective. And then we have this half of the movie where it is fantasy, and he's having a big daydream where he's an actual detective, which already, this movie's, let's just say this movie's 100 years old. I know it's 99, but how fucking creative. Well, oh my god. Right, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's slow down. Let's work through everything that I have on my list. So the first thing that I want to talk about with this movie is that I was silly and did not expect this movie to actually have music, and pleasantly surprised I was, because this movie had music in it, and all my fears about this being an entirely silent movie and there's nothing for me, like everything distracted me and all that stupid gone, because there was like an orchestra supporting this entire movie, which I absolutely love. I did a little bit of research and I realized that because the projector used to be very loud, they'd have at least one instrument playing at all times, which I absolutely loved, and that is perfectly fine with me because that made this movie and my kind of like experience with silent movies fun. Like it was fun already, like the movie itself was so fun, but this just added to it, and the music was so perfectly fitting. It made this movie just work. And I know that's so silly to say because I had these expectations that obviously a movie is 100 years old, it's going to be stupid, it's going to be like so underdeveloped, but this movie got me literally talking to the screen like, how the fuck did you do that? And this movie is 100 years old, and there's movies now that I don't even ask that question to. So I was absolutely amazed by it. So initially the story starts and I was like feeling a little bit confused because I was like, okay, this projectionist, what the fuck is going on? But then we have like these title cards thrown in to on the screen to basically give us context, tell us what characters are saying. And I absolutely love that because obviously there's so many movies right now that we watch where we just do not need so much dialogue. There's just too much shite talking. And if we could get rid of all that shite talking, the story would be so much better. And I love that here because we did not need talking. We just needed a little bit of context, and everything else, leave it to the audience to figure out. And I absolutely loved this. We didn't need speaking, and I really like that. And as I said, this story is basically about a projectionist / detective chasing a thief, more or less. That's kind of like the basic story. And as I said, it's split into two parts. One is reality, one is fantasy. And it's basically like a cat and mouse story. And I really loved how over-exaggerated, how just over the top everything was. All the body movement, like that's the first thing I noticed about this movie, is that all the body language was so over-exaggerated. It was so like fast. It was so like performative, and I really loved that because it was like a movie, but it also felt like theater at the same time. And one thing, like, oh my god, this made me so happy. There's a scene where we see the detective throw a banana peel on the ground and then he slips on it. Like, oh my god, I used to watch this in like Tom and Jerry and be like, they would never really have this in like a movie. And they did. They had it in this, and it made my heart feel so happy. And this movie, oh my good lord, this movie looks so good. There were so many different shot types, so many creative, like technical camera things that they had. For example, the projectionist is reading a book called How to Be a Detective, which is so funny. And there's like 5 steps, and one of them is like talk to everybody in the room. And the camera like zooms in and closes in just onto like something like Wes Anderson would do, which I did not expect. That they have so many beautiful close-ups, different types of shots. And again, this comes back to me being a little bit ignorant and thinking that, oh, because it's an old movie, this won't be creative and it'll just be like very boring. One camera, just very basic, right? It was not that. This movie was so creative. There's so many incredible shots and setups and sequences in this movie that I was like, how did you do that? This looks incredible. There's like a constant stream of entertainment being thrown into your face as you're watching this movie. Like, this movie never takes a breath. It's 45 minutes long. At the start, it's a little bit slow because you're like, okay, I don't really know what's happening. Pace is a little bit slow, but boy, oh boy, this movie does not give you a chance to breathe because we jump from reality to a daydream, from like just this movie never ends to just entertain you. There's so many incredible practical effects in this movie. For example, we see the detective / projectionist jumping between train to train. Then there's a scene where we're jumping into the fantasy world. He's asleep and his job as a projectionist. Then we see like his double, like it basically duplicates him, and we see 2 Buster Keatons on the screen, and I'm like, how this looks so cool. And he jumps into the movie screen, and he jumps into the movie, and within that movie there's different scenes that are changing, and it's just so fucking impressive. And then that's when the second part of the story takes over, where he's an actual detective, and I really love that. This story felt so developed. This story felt so smart. Again, as I said, there's so many practical effects in this that I was like, how the fuck did you do this? There's one scene where Buster Keaton, the detective, projectionist, whatever, the detective is running away and he jumps through somebody's body and it looks so clean. Like, how did you do that? It's so impressive. Literally, I was watching the movie like, how? It left me with many questions, which is impressive. Beyond impressive, because this movie is it is 100 years old, basically. I really just love how, like, this movie made me feel so warm on the inside. It made me feel so cozy. It just felt innocent. Like, I know that's like the wrong word to use, but whenever I watched this, I was like, this just seems so innocent. This movie just seems that it was made with like sincere love, just made with love to entertain and nothing else. It's not trying to like the movie is just incredible. Like, I gave it a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and it just felt like a real movie that had no bullshit, no extra trimmings, just there to entertain you. And it was so obvious that there was so much care put into this. There's so much effort put into this. And I'm telling you, after I watched this video, after I filmed this video, sorry, I'm going to go and research Buster Keaton and how the practical effects were made and just performed, because it is so good. And as a movie itself, it was so entertaining. As I said, it was super easy to follow. But seeing like the absolute foundation of like a mystery movie and like rivalry and kind of like revenge and just the relationship between characters that are obviously still on screen now, being performed 100 years ago, it is so fucking cool. And the story was incredible. The acting was so good. It just made me feel so whole and so happy on the inside watching this. And you should definitely watch this movie. Sherlock Jr., it's on YouTube. You have no excuse. Go watch it. It is 45 minutes of your time. It is so fun. Definitely watch it with someone. And I don't know, I fucking love this. Another thing about this movie is that I did not expect there to be so many locations used and so many props and so many cool outfits. And there's just the entire, like, I know this is kind of stupid to say, but the entire aesthetic of this movie was just so cool. Like the outfits, like the way they dress. Oh, man, I need to like culture myself by watching a lot of these like older movies, especially silent movies, because it just makes me so happy. I feel like there's just so much shit happening over the last 100 years in movies now, that it's just sometimes it's good to go back to the OG and just see it in its like basic form. Just see a movie in its absolute basic form, everything stripped back, and just have a good time, which this is exactly what this movie was. And I thought I would find this very difficult to watch, as I said at the start of this video, but I didn't. I did not find this difficult at all. I like that I had this idea, and that this idea is entirely gone out of my brain, that these movies are actually more accessible than I thought they would be. And I love that, because that just like unblocks something in my brain that's going to be like, hey, you can actually watch as many silent movies as you want, and you don't need to have this fear or like idea that you won't be able to concentrate, because you can. If I can do it with a 45-minute movie, I can do it with a 90-minute movie, with a 2-hour movie, and that's why I love this. I had such a great time with this video, and I feel I might go watch another silent movie today. Have you watched any silent movies? What is your relationship with silent movies? When is the first time you watched a silent movie? Have you ever watched a silent movie? Let me know in the comments, because I want to hear. And if you have watched them, I hope you enjoyed them as much as I enjoyed them. This was really fun, and yeah. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.